Barbershop conversation, guys. Feel free, hit the subscribe button. So let's talk about something. You guys saw the title. Errol Spence, in my humble opinion, became a king last night, became to the rest of the world. Um, um, and he should be acknowledged as such. And I was having this funny thing. I was having this conversation Tuesday or Wednesday with Buddy Lee. You guys saw him uh, when he went in Tuesday after the arrivals. He went in and he and I hung out that evening, and we talked about it. And he was alluding to that it's a Southern thing, And I was thinking about my family in Virginia and how proud they are to be black. Uh, Many of my family members grew up in the Naval Yard. I'm a descendant, honestly, of the Naval Yard in terms of the finances in my family. My family originated in the Tidewater area, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Chesapeake area, and you got and and uh, I used to go to New York, and my grandfather used to drive me down the 95, cross the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, and we would be in Virginia every summer. I would spend about 3 weeks. Oh, no, forgive me. I would spend the entire summer. Forgive me. But I would spend probably a total of 2 to 4 weeks in Virginia and spend a great deal of time with my family. And the irony about it is we had a Bobby. We had a white carrot, not a white housekeeper named Bobby, right? It was funny. And he was pretty cool, you know what I mean? And because we owned property in Virginia, and my grandfather and my grandmother lived in New York. So we would go down to Virginia. And honestly, I I've never had these thoughts until now, or I've never verbalized these thoughts until now. It's just something that went subconsciously through. But I never, outside of the house taker Bobby, it was a black experience in Virginia. And I just realized this just now. Uh, um, Everything we did was black. My grandfather always bought black as much as he could. Um, uh, it was always family institution. I'm gonna get to Virginia at some point, and I'm gonna introduce you to my family and where I started and the house that my family originated from. But and that made me these moments that I'm having now. Buddy Lee put me in reflection mode, and when I heard Errol Spence yesterday, it reminded me of who we should be. It reminded me of the power that we possess. It reminded me how we need to remind us and take the power back from them. All right, I'm on my Andre Ward right now. And the reverse version, right? And I think it's important not to alien. I don't, and I hate when we have to preface stuff. I'm not prefacing anything. I want people to feel uncomfortable right now. I want you to feel uncomfortable. I want your skin to crawl if you're listening to this video and you don't agree and you're getting furious right now. Oh, he's race baiting. Well, I just got validated between the Till This Day rant with Radio Raheem with Deontay Wilder and Errol Spence talking about how black fighters and black fans need to stick together when people on the other side of the fence are doing the same thing just because. David Benavidez is a 168-pound former WBC champion. He understands boxing. He understands who Hugo Ruiz has a less than 1% chance to beat Tank Davis. And yet he picks him. Why? Because he's of Latino descent. Now, the same thing needs to be had about our black fans, our black fighters. Now, I understand that there are exceptions to the rule, but I'm saying if you're in the middle and you're in the middle outward, I think it's important that we get out of the way of our own movement and just stay silent. It's like if I tell you guys a story. I was at Melody Bar here in Los Angeles, and it was this. I don't know what was going on. I have no idea what was going on or why it happened. But there was this white guy, and Melody Bar is in Westchester, literally right across the street from the In and Out, which everyone goes to before when they come into LA or when they leave out of LAX. They always stop at that In and Out, right? And so I said that to say that that's a multicultural location, right? And it was this white dude and this black dude. And I said, and what I saw was the black dude choking the white dude out. And he had him up off his feet, choking him. And I sat there in my seat, and my thoughts were, that's collateral damage. That's a form of reparations. I didn't care. I literally didn't care at all. Um, and I think I use that as an example. And yet, that's the courage that we need to have in the belly of the beast. We watch all these athletes have white representation. And when you have white representation, that means they empower your decision. It's not just the money; it's that they empower your decision making. And I think it's incredibly important that we have people that have the empathy, not sympathy. White people can have sympathy, but I think it's important that there's a level of empathy around our inner circle and who we conduct business with. That's so important and essential to the advancement of us. And Errol Spence was speaking yesterday, and between that tweet from Oscar De La Hoya and the tweet from Deontay Wilder on Andre Ward, it it made everything full circle on what this channel was built on, what I personally believe in. As a black man, I told you I know nothing else in this world. I am only an expert on being a black man in America. And I stand by it, I stand firm on it. And I genuinely believe me owning my talents, me owning every word, what I say, is a real reason as to why I am considered successful in this country. You know, um, there is a level of assimilation. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like there is not a level of assimilation that must occur in our lives. We must have, we not must, we have to coexist with everyone. That doesn't compromise our ability to be black in every example of our lives. And I'm using the term black, and I think it's rather important that Latino men understand this too. They always want to separate themselves from the black experience. 7 out of 10, let's just say safe because I don't want no rebuttals. Half the Mexicans that I know always want to separate their experiences from the black experiences. All black people don't work as hard. We come over here and we work in the underbelly to provide for our families. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot of their that's that's a lot of their stories. It's not all. It's many of their stories. Okay, and when they begin to separate from that, then that's when they begin to fail from a mindset perspective. Mexicans should have a level of empathy for the black plight, and there should be a level of empathy for the Mexican plight. Come from different countries. Obviously, we speak different languages. Obviously, but here in America, the similar pain resides in both, and I think it's important that we acknowledge it. You know, um, I have great conversations with some of my Mexican friends all the time. I train in the Mexican gym every day. You know, 60, maybe 65% of the fighters there are honestly golden boy fighters and etc. The other 30% are with other fighters and whatever, amateurs, pros, where have you. And we always have dialogue about pros and cons. Let's just call them pros and cons. I don't feel like going deeper on that than I should on Errol Spence. Um, and the conversation always is, well, why don't you like this, right? And in my head, I always think to myself, a friend close is much more important than family afar. And what I mean by that is when I'll just use real examples. When um, I've supported many of their camps financially, I've supported uh, fighters need a place to stay. I reduced their rent, allowed them to move in without what do you call that? Security deposit, and I think that, and the reason why I can do that is because I have a level of empathy. You understand where I'm coming from? Not because sympathy fades away. Empathy resides in you. When you walk away, you carry that pain. You carry the want to for them to be successful. And I think that's why Errol Spence has just become special. And he's always been that way. I'm talking about just to America, and it had to be realized. I had to see it on a platform in which the masses, let's call it the masses had to listen. But I know if I use the word white, it makes it polarizing, right? White, black, here's what they think about you. And yeah, I remember that shit a long time ago. That song, what was that, Dr. Dre? Here's what they think about you. Ice Cube, that was Ice Cube. Here's what they think about you. And um, it was incredible. It was genuinely incredible. And I think we need to throw people off the island that want to reduce us and or get in the way. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect or they're perfect, but there must be ships. Everyone has their own ship. It must be. All our ships must be headed in the right direction. Now, some ships, for a visual, some ships start off the docks of New York, off the docks of Brazil, off the docks of Africa, you know? But we're going to the same destination. And that is to leave a greater us for future generations, And um, I encourage fighters. I think there's a level of importance right here. I think there's a level of consciousness that's reverberating through boxing right now, and I genuinely believe I had a lot to do with it. A lot meaning more than what it was. It could be 1% more. You know, I think that my unwavering belief that um, blacks play an integral role in boxing, and we must own our power, own our intellectual capital, and value it, and displace it upon people that look like us. First, first choice, I should say, you know. And I think it was like the best poem I ever heard, and it was like a poem I haven't heard in a long time, when I was listening to Errol Spence. Those are some prophetic and poetic words that was coming off from Errol Spence, and I saw his mom walk by, but Errol was still talking, and I wanted to interview her and talk about the man that was speaking on that podium. His words were as powerful, if not more powerful, than a 1963 Martin Luther King, you know, on the steps of this Lincoln Memorial. I believe it was 1963. Um, you know, um, so um, I salute you, Earl Spence. I think what Earl Spence did is not only visual evidence, physical evidence, but it serves as an empowerment a level of empowerment for the psyche of the black fighter and the protection of the black fighter. You know, I understand relationships, right? Like I have relationships in boxing, and you have relationships in boxing. You have relationships at your job that you must protect and nourish. Rightfully so. I completely understand. Like there are certain fighters that I probably won't do prediction videos on, right? Just because, I want to live longer, and carrying stress shortens your life, right? I don't want to put myself in a lose-lose situation. And I love the I love the fact, I'm going back to Errol Spence again, as this video is about. I love the fact that he said it with conviction and confidence, unwavering and saturated truth. Too many times, I don't want to list any other fighters' names, but too many times people say the PC answers. Well, I love all people. I have many friends of many different cultures. Say it loud, say it proud, right? James Brown wants you to dance to that song, not shuck and jive to it. Ooh, that's powerful. Ooh. James Brown. Say it loud, say it proud. I'm black and I'm proud. James Brown wants you to dance to that song and not shuck and jive to it. And Errol Spence is not only dancing to that song, he's singing that song. And I just want to say thank you to Errol Spence. I I should have introduced myself to his father. I This is like a cyber handshake and a cyber hug to the Spence family. And I was listening to Derek James on Dante's Boxing Nation. If you haven't heard it, feel free, go check it out. I thought it was an incredible interview. Derek James and Errol Spence are aligned as it relates to um, the beautification of black excellence. You know what I mean? I think is, uh, and I knew this. I've had private conversations with Derek James, and to hear him say what he said in front of, who Dante got, what, a 500,000 subscribers, it seems like, I don't know. Um, I think is incredibly important, and hopefully Dante edits that video out and just puts, because when you see 2 hours, a lot of subscribers may be intimidated by that. Hopefully he edits that out and makes it that 20-minute segment in which he spoke to Derek James. I thought that was beautiful. So kudos to Dante and his crew for doing that interview. And yeah, man, I just want to say thank you to the Spence family for offering their son to us. You know, what we say about Michael, for the Jacksons, and what we say about the Michael Jordan's dads and mothers is the same thing we should be saying for our black men and black women, and our or Mexican men and Mexican sisters that stand up for what's right. You know, whether it's si se puede or yes we can, it's the same language and has the same meaning. All right, and Errol Spence became a king last night. To and it's our duty, and we should honor that. All right. Um, Barbershop Conversations, man. Feel free to hit the subscribe button. Um, so hopefully I'll be in DC Saturday to Monday of this upcoming week for the Sergio Lipinus fight. Should be exciting. I'm thoroughly excited to cover this fight. Should be awfully fun, and we gonna make it do what it do. So, Barbershop Conversations, man. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you guys. What a wonderful week I had in Dallas. It was amazing. Um, Great content. I didn't know the landscape of the AT&T thing, so I didn't know how to get all the interviews I desired. Like, I know Barclay, I know MGM, I know StubHub, so I know how to railroad and cut the fighters off, so they have to go by me before they leave out of the arena, right? But at Cowboy Stadium, I had no idea how it was, the landscape of it, I should say. So barbershop conversations, man. Feel free, hit the subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.